So welcome Tom ODwyer, who is going to talk to us today about the art of gravity stone balancing. Go ahead, Tom. Let's get started.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all again, and some people I've met before in the center and others just here at Zoom with Judy. So for those who have tried balancing before, it's a lot of fun. It's very somewhat obsessive, I find. And excuse me while I get settled here, Jude. People who have tried it love to come back to it and do some more intricate balances. So what I'd like to do, first of all, Judy, is to do the actual instructional part, if that's okay, for the class itself. Can everybody see me okay? Okay.
Yes.
First and foremost, yes, we do need rocks, and we also need some ancillary material. So the first piece of material is a piece of wood, about 1.5 feet long by about 8 inches wide. And this is going to be your workstation. Then you're going to need an old towel, maybe a towel or a piece of packing material in case we have what we call collapses or drops. And believe you me, everybody does have a collapse or a drop. We don't see them as collapses or drops or failures. We see as a test to a lesson for your next one. So we just don't call it a failure. We just call it a lesson to better yourself on the next one. So then if you don't have a towel, or you could even use a piece of foam for your safety protection. So then we're going to talk about the types of rocks we're going to need for your first balance. And right here, I've got one. It's a little bit bigger than my hand. Everybody see that okay? And what's very important with both big rocks is that they're tilted back on one side, and then on the other rock, it's tilted this way. The reason why I want you to do these is because when we do the arches, these will be the base of the arch on each side. So now, let's go to the other rocks you're going to need. I'll leave these here for now. But next, I want you to get 6 to 8 flat rocks, just like that. 6 to 8 of them is all you need. And you can get those, I'm sure, down alleys or your neighbor. You could ask your neighbor if you could borrow them. 6 to 8 of those will be great. And then I want you to get 2 about the size of my hands, 1 flat if possible, and the other one is not really too flat, but something like that. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. No 2 rocks are the same anyway. And then I want you to get a handful of shin stone. Okay? And the reason why we're going to get the shins, I'll give you a little example. Whenever you have a stone, not always does it sit by itself. It's going to be shaky or whatever. But because we're doing this at home and online, no matter where you go, actually, because we're doing it at home, we're going to balance it. I want you to, when you do put a shim underneath, just press down on the top of it and make sure it's not going anywhere. No matter where you balance, whether it be outside, up in the mountains, you're taking a hike somewhere, you decide to take a break, and you're going to go balance some rocks. Up in the mountains, make sure the base stone is semi-buried in dirt. That way it's not going to go anywhere. If you were on the beach somewhere, you would make sure it's semi-buried in sand before you do anything. Your base stone cannot be shifting around there, otherwise it's pointless. Everything is going to come down in there. Okay, let's take the next step, which would be when you're looking for your first rock, let's say it's going to be the big one. What we need to look at is, not only is it going to support the arch this way, but it's also going to support our straight up balances, which are known as towers or true balance. And we're going to look for, run your fingers around it, just feel how rough it is. What we're looking for is crevices, little pockets, half a pocket, crevice. And one of my favorites is sometimes you'll have a stone whereby there's like prongs sticking out of it, like a mini tripod. And those are great for balancing. If you're lucky enough to find one like that, that would be great. But when you take a good look at this one is real nice because it's got all kinds of pockets, little crevices. A rough stone is ideal. This one, not so much, but it's going to be great for when we do the arch. Any questions, anybody?
Tom, can you talk about the safety in terms of the distance for your devices, the fact that you'll want a smartphone for photo and where to put it and all of that?
Sure. When we start the class, I want to have nothing on your table except your computer and your rocks. You will have your iPhone in your pocket. Never leave your iPhone on the table because you don't want a rock falling on top of it. So when you go to take a picture of your balance, take out your camera, take your picture, and make sure to put it back in your pocket. Now, when you're actually balancing, you want your computer, mine is about 1.5 feet away from me, and that's enough just in case you do have a collapse or a failure. Don't have anything else on the table just for safety reasons. You're better off just, even 2 towels will be fine if you feel like you need 2 towels. But the rocks are not going to be that big that you're going to be balancing. These are going to be about that size. So if they do come over, they're going to go right about there. So your computer is still about a foot away. Another safety issue. When people balance for the first time, I tell them, we all have shaky hands. Pretty much everybody does. Maybe 1 cup of coffee too much in the morning. But what we're going to do is, if you are nervous when you're balancing, just go ahead and use your elbows as stabilizers. That way you can balance more smoothly and things are not so shaky. I can't think of anything right off the bat now as regards other safety issues, except that if you are balancing outside, make sure to do, as I said, whether it be, and when let's say you are up in the mountains, you're taking a hike somewhere, and you balance, you create your first balance, and you want to take a picture. Once you're done taking a picture, tap them and knock them over. Don't leave them sitting there. Some kid is going to come along or an individual and they'll fall on their toes. Make sure you collapse your balances every time you are done. Whether it be in the mountains, on a trail, or this on the beach. If it's outside in your own backyard and you're not quite complete with the balance, you're going to do it tomorrow. There could be kids in the neighborhood who might be out in your backyard or whatever. Just go ahead and take them down and start from the beginning again.
Tom, can you also just briefly insert here that if you wanted to, if you've accomplished a balance or, you know, a certain tower or something like that, that you'd want to affix permanently, that that can also be done?
Sure. It's, I've had people ask me that, and what I like to do for, let's say it's 2 feet, maybe it's 4 feet, whatever it may be, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is, I tell people to go ahead and reinforce. And sometimes they'll say, well, what do I need for reinforcement? Depending on how high it is. If it's only 2 rocks, 3 rocks high, and the rocks are smaller than these, go ahead and just use an adhesive. One of my favorite.
Would you use?
What I use is an adhesive called E6000.
E6000?
E as in Elizabeth, yeah, that's 6,000. And you can get it at Home Depot, you can get it at Walmart, any of these places. It's about $6 a tube, depending on where you go. And then there's other people who want, you know, real big sculptures in their garden. And when we do something like that, we drill holes, depending on the type of stone, and we put rebar to connect them together. You know, when you do something like that, there's liability issues, so you gotta be careful.
Okay, so the other question someone put in the chat was, how did you find the larger rocks, or where do you find the larger rocks? We know we can, you know, there's a lot of river rock around that we can either use from our own yards or borrow, but those big stones, where would we find that?
A lot of these rocks that I have were in the house, in the backyard when we bought the house. The previous owner made a big collection of rocks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was perfect. So there was lots of quartz, granite, various petrified wood, you name it. There was a whole bunch of them. I was in hog heaven. I was having a good old time.
So for those of us who don't have that opportunity in our backyards, or in my case, don't even have a backyard,
I would, if you go down back alleys, you'll find all kinds of rocks. That's another way.
Bonnie thinks Home Depot stocks large rocks too.
They do, yeah. And if you ever go to Home Depot, their parking lots, some of them, their landscaping is all rocks. I'm sure it would be okay to pick up 1 or 2. It's not going to hurt anybody. You know.
Okay, Beth.
You could just take a rock in and say, do you mind if I take this home?
Okay.
There's various places. There's a company called Pioneer, and you could look them up, and they've got a great selection of big rocks, small rocks.
Are they here in Denver?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me look it up, and I'll get it in Pioneer Rocks, or what are they? Are they?
They're called Pioneer Sand and Gravel.
Sand.
I've been to Pioneer in Aurora a few times. I've gotten like pavers to make a walkway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're also in Aurora, but I did go recently to get some things, and they seem to be carrying less during the pandemic, is what I would say. I'm not saying it wouldn't be good to go there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not free. You know, it's not free, but it just seemed like they'd really, you know, during the pandemic, they'd sort of reduced what they were carrying to the most popular things.
Yeah, yeah. I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the landscaping and nurseries too might even have some.
They do.
You know, or like, because really, Tom, the size you're showing is kind of small for landscaping, but you know, they may have broken off a bigger piece or something. So yeah, we might be able to find. And by the way, just so you know, the next class, when we actually do this, is July 6th, intentionally so we have time. Today's the 22nd, so we would have till July 6th to source our stones.
Another place, Judy, where if you're taking a bike right on the path, you'll see stones just lying by the side, you know, and they're doing nothing and nobody has their name on them. Take a couple of bags, plastic bags with you on your bike or a backpack and just pick them up.
Yeah.
You know?
Beyond some of the trails.
Yeah, yeah.
If 50 people pick up one rock, the landscaping is ruined. Yeah, but hopefully we're all over in different places, so we're not picking from one spot.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Is there a cultural or historic significance behind stone balancing? Oh, Kim, you're asking at the right moment, because the next thing Tom is going to give us is a little history lesson about this.
Sure. There's in various countries, there's very different reasons, significations for balancing stones. I think we have it in the history part, Judy, where in a country in the Andes, I believe it is, there's a South America, there's a peoples who Quechuan tribe, I believe it's called, and they create cairns, and these they're very of religious significance when they build these stone cairn. For those who don't know what a cairn is, it's like a shape like a cone. And that's where the word cone came from. It was from a cairn, C-A-I-R-N. And in Ireland, we've used them for many, many different reasons. Property, dividing markers, burial sites for kings and queens. When they didn't have concrete, they had rocks, and they would use them for one of the ones I remember in Ireland was when I was growing up, they didn't have gates. They had fields covered in rocks. And what they would do to move the cattle was move the rocks out of the way, put the cattle through, and put the rocks back up again. Believe it or not, that's very true. It depends on the country you go to. And there's many, many different, you'll see different countries will have them for different reasons. But the balancing itself is more of a test in oneself and your patience, your sense of touch, your what can you achieve with your next balance? How can you be better than just straight up? You know, you do counterbalance and you do arches, and it's more for fun than anything else. Balance.
Tom, remember when you were talking about, you know, the different, so some of them have religious significance. I know when I go to Canada, driving from Toronto, it's about 2 hours north to Lake Muskoka, you'll see along the highway in Canada all over the little balances, but they almost look like a people, like 2 legs and a body and a head, and I can't remember what they're called. And I think it's got it like an indigenous type of, you know, where, you know, different types of indigenous groups will make their own style. So do you find that, Tom, that all over the country, all over the world rather, they do have different styles to them in terms of the balances?
I've noticed, I was in Portugal, and I noticed they do a lot of shimming, and they see nothing wrong with it. You know, they're putting a balance up and they stick a little small shim in it. And basically that's a no-no when you're doing, you know, regular balancing. You're not, if you're doing that, you're not really testing yourself. You're not really being in tune with gravity. You're just cheating, you know.
Yeah, so for a style thing then. So they're just trying to create something
you have
doing balance.
there's a great balancer locally called Michael Grab, gravityglue.com. And he's a young kid up in Boulder, and he does absolutely beautiful balances. He does it full time, and he's incredible, absolutely incredible.
What is it?
I've seen
GravityWhat.com?
gravityglue.com.
Blue.
Yeah. You'll see other countries where, you know, they'll do straight up and they don't quite challenge themselves with more elaborate balances. And I find when you do the more elaborate ones, you're testing yourself, and you are, once you get that last one on and you let go, it's a tremendous feeling of accomplishment. Now, when I teach students to balance, and one of my favorite things to do with them is when they're balancing for the first time and they're about to set the last one, they've gone to all the trouble of doing a balance. And this is their first balance, and the look on their faces when they're setting that last one, and they're afraid to let go. But once they let go, they're just elated that they did it. And then they go to the next balance, and they're captivated. It can become somewhat obsessive. That's the fun part for me. If I were to do shims and all that, that's too easy.
Yeah, and I think too, did you want to talk a little bit about the whole mindfulness aspect of this, and the centering of yourself, and you know what it does for you inside and personally?
Sure. First and foremost is the peace I'm experiencing when I'm out there. There's nothing else around, and even if there is other stuff around, if I was in a stream somewhere, just about any noise around me goes away because I'm so focused on achieving what I want to achieve. And of course, when you're out in the backyard, you're hearing neighbors' kids, you know, whatever, traffic. But if once you start balancing over a period of time and you're really in tune with what you're doing, everything else gets shut out, just about. And it's a really great feeling. And then once you do let go of that last one and everything stays in its place, it's a tremendous feeling. It really is. Maybe not everybody sees it, but I really enjoy it. For some people, you know, they might come to one class and they say, I've had a class in a library. I remember there was about 10, 12 people, and one lady brought her daughter. They were allowed to bring their kids in from 7 years of age up. And she just balanced 3 or 4, and then she was gone. She was upstairs in the library reading a book. It wasn't for her. So you have different people who get different things from it, and then some who don't get nothing. But overall, people come back for the second one, the third one, and then when they're on their own, they just they don't really get into it. You know, they get back to me by an email or whatever, and they say, "Man, I can't leave this stuff alone."
We've got so much in the chat here. Oh, and also Debbie brought up Andy Goldsworthy. Let me see if his stuff is unbelievable.
Yeah, Andy's still he's gotten into rather big projects, and he's incredible. Some of the stuff he does is unbelievable. But a lot of his stuff he will do on water, and it will float away. I could not do that. I couldn't let him. You got all that trouble, now you're going to let it float away. But I guess he's been doing it a long time, and he sees it differently.
He does a lot of permanent work, though, too.
Yeah, he does. He does a lot of.
Yeah.
He does.
I can't.
The last project I saw of Andy, he was trying to get a tree into a building. And he was going to wrap that tree around the ceiling. And there's all this kind of, he had a cob, which is a natural mix for building. He wrapped the whole thing in a red cob and the ceiling as well. It was a massive project, but it was absolutely incredible. It was beautiful, absolutely incredible.
I'm trying to find his website, and it's got everything but.
He doesn't have as much online as some artists, but I have followed him for many decades, and I've seen a permanent exhibit in San Diego of his that I just came upon at a little tiny art museum. But he has 2 videos out which are fascinating. One's old, decades ago, Rivers and Tides, and then one they did.
I saw that.
A video about him. Did you see that, Tom? I saw it downtown at the C Cinema Theater. It's pretty recent. It's fascinating because you really watch him doing his work in all different mediums. But what I like is that he's older. He has done this, and he is now our age, you know, and he is still doing it, but he's trying to work with one of his daughters to kind of take over. And
That's right. That's right.
So I'm just fascinated. I mean, he's older, but he's still, he's had a great body of work, and he's just really fascinating to follow.
Have you ever seen Into the Wind?
Yes, that's the one that just came out a couple of years ago. It's really good. If you can find that on Netflix or something like that, because it's kind of a documentary about him, it's really good.
For those who are interested, check it out. You might get it on Netflix. You may not. I'm not sure. But it is unbelievable. The man is so, there we go. He's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Massive projects, massive.
Yeah, and many of them do disappear. Like he's done stuff with icicles, you know, during the night, he works all night. And then in the morning, you know, when the sun comes, it starts to disappear.
Yeah, that's right. He's very different, but also the amount of patience the man has is unbelievable. And like you say, he's been around a while, and he's gotten many, many requests. There's a beautiful job right there. He's got many, many orders around the world to do some of his work. Yeah.
Is he from Wales? Is that where he is? I think.
Either Wales or Scotland. I think it's more, could be Wales. I'm not sure. He's got a heavy, thick accent. I don't.
No, not much at all, Tom.
It's the way you listen. It's not the way I talk.
That's right. Let's see. What does Bonnie say here? Oh, stone balancing hither and yon is not favorably viewed by many because it tends to mess up the natural landscape. The number of rock piles in this manner in natural areas has recently begun to worry conservationists. Oh, interesting. Because they misdirect hikers, expose soil to erosion and all of that. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, there's all sorts of, you know, this is opening a whole nother world, right, to us to know about.
I remember when Michael Grab first started balancing in Boulder Creek, the city came down on him and they said, you can't do that. And he said, why not? He said, well, you're interfering with the ecosystem. So he said, okay, I'll go off and I'll do it someplace else. Now he's going around the world teaching other people how to do it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. If you think about being a child and playing, right? In New Jersey, we had almost like a little forest next to our house for a long time until they developed it and built homes there. And in New Jersey, that was so rare, right? Because everybody's housing, it's so compact. And there were these giant stones that had been pushed out of the way for other homes that, you know, probably my home and that my parents bought and other homes on our block. And so we used to play there constantly. Every summer we built forts and everything using the rocks, and then we'd collect the rocks. You know, so you think of children playing in nature. and using, smaller stones, bigger rocks, and sticks and leaves and everything we could find. And now they're talking about the ecosystem, and if we're looking at smaller scale things, are we not allowed to touch nature and participate in nature? So I'm just raising this as a, sort of the other side of it, I guess.
Yeah. When I was growing up, nobody cared.
No.
And nothing got damaged. We all had fun. And if you didn't, take something out of an area, something else grew there. It was no big deal. But now this, we got this rule and that rule. Come on.
I think there's a balance. So
there is limitations when you hear of different artists, stone artists who want to do bigger projects, do bigger creations here, creations there. And I saw one, he was a very talented individual. I can't think of his name right off, but he was out in the field and the homeowner, the field owner, wanted this massive rock and another one balanced on top of it. He had to get heavy equipment to bring in the rocks. And one was like a backhoe, with the rocks, bringing it in. So the first one was set, and it had to be 20 feet tall. It was just huge.
Wow.
So he's got the ropes going up to it, putting the second one up. And he knows exactly where he wants it. But for some reason, it didn't quite click into that spot. And that's another one of the terms we use. You wait for that click when you're balancing. But he let go of the ropes, and down it came, down onto the backhoe. And when you think about stuff like that, the dangers involved, well, you just can't expect that to sit up there by itself forever. You're going to deal with wind, you're going to deal with all kinds of elements. So you really have to balance it all out, as much as possible. And then there's other people who will do that, but they'll reinforce rather than just have it sitting there. So it depends on the individual, I guess.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is very small scale here. And Tom, if we couldn't find the big rocks that you've got at the base, if they were a little bit smaller and we scaled everything down appropriately, would that be okay?
Sure. Yeah, as long as they've had the angle on them.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this big because we can use the shims to brace them off on the backside. When we put the other ones on, you got a bit of weight coming down. So as long as even if they're that size with the angle on them, that would be great.
So Tom, would you be able to show us some of the completed work that you have?
Sure. Outside, I'll have to turn off the camera. Yeah, I'll turn it off, Jude, and I'll take it outside, and then
just turn the camera and don't turn Zoom off.
Yeah.
Judy?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I was in Hawaii quite a few years ago, maybe 15, 20, and we were on a beach and we had a guide with us, and there was an area with just hundreds of stacked rocks, and he said that the tourists had first he told us the ferries had done it, then he said the tourists had done it. So that's an example of how it can kind of go crazy. But if you do it in a natural area and you do it fairly naturally, eventually it'll fall down. So that should be fine.
Yeah, and what Tom is saying is don't leave it to, there, like make sure you topple it down, or maybe you could put the rocks back where they were if there was the concern for the environment in that regard. But yeah, when you go to California on the beaches, I've only seen one person at it, doing it, and they're just lovely. So it's, I never thought about the people viewing it as harmful to the environment.
Well, it's like humans can't take things a step at a time. If there is a fad, it'll just go all over, you know. If you could just say, well, let's have 3 people do it. No, we've got to have 3,000.
Right. Phyllis, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Oh, in my neighborhood, somebody stacked a lot of them, like they did about 10, 20 on this corner that we have behind the pool. And I went out and took a picture, sent it to your email, and there's only like 2 or 3 left. I don't know who knocked them down, but somebody in I kind of know who had been stacking them, but I don't know who knocked most of it down. I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah, let me see. I'll get back.
He's been doing it. I think it's, I think I know who it is, but I don't know who knocked them down. No fair.
Okay, let me look at the picture. I'll show everybody the picture. Okay, it's opening up here. 1 second.
I'm going to try to get my hand.
Okay, here we go. Have any seen a labyrinth made out of rocks? Yeah, in Scottsdale, Arizona, there's it's not called a church, it's more like a retreat center, and they have a beautiful labyrinth made out of the stones. And I just used to remember loving going there and walking. It was very peaceful. So let me show you this that Phyllis sent. So Phyllis, was it this cluster here? Let me share the screen.
There were like 20 of them that somebody did. They put new stones in an area and somebody just started building them. It looks like most of them are knocked down, and there were about 20. These are the 3 or 4 that are left. See how you could see that some of the stones are knocked down?
Yeah, I mean, they're not so big, so even an animal could just topple that easily.
Could have been the wind, could have been, could have been landscaping, didn't like it. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
About 6 months.
And are those glued together?
No, because they toppled over, Phyllis said, in her neighborhood, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Judy,
Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
I'm in California, so, and I'm not sure if I'm on the Colorado mailing list. Where would I find your recording of this video?
Oh, so what I'll do is when the meeting is over, during the meeting, if all of you who want the recording, put your email into the chat. Do you know how to do that? If you do that, I will send you all the follow-up information from the chat as well as the recording itself.
Okay.
So,
Thank
and if you want to get the Colorado newsletter, you also can sign up for that too.
I will do
It's
that.
not in your inbox.
Okay.
So Tom, did we lose you?
No, I'm here, Jude. I'm just
Put your camera back on.
making sure I'm pushing the right buttons. I'm going to come back on video, and then I will show some in the front, and then I'll stop, and then I'll show some more. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
There's the front of my house. And let me kill that one for now, and I'll come back on again. And up here.
Tom, could you linger on that a little bit longer so we could absorb what we're seeing?
Sure. Okay, we're looking at leftover flagstone, basically. And in the middle is my bighorn sheep. And it's not quite Purple Mountain Majesty, as you can see. It's leftover buff flagstone that represents a small representation of the mountains, and the bighorn sheep. I didn't want him to be lonely, so I've come over here. You can maybe see it better. And it's all stone and sand. The green is and the black and the buff is all sand. And what it was originally was a prototype for a open call for the city of Grand Junction. And I didn't quite make it. It wasn't exactly what they wanted, but they admired it and they liked it. So here it is in the front of the house. And now I'll kill this again. If this is okay, I'll kill the video and I'll move over to other pieces of balancing, if that's okay. This piece here that I christened Work of Hearts. Everything is natural material. You have stained glass, stone, copper in between the left-hand heart, and the outer part is rope. The white part is rope, all sitting on wood and flagstone. And then right above it is a counterbalance, straight up and counter. So I kill this again and I'll go to another piece if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, here we've got what I call the in flight, the eagle, and that's all stone and driftwood. And then right above it is one of my, I call that the Y balance, mostly because it's kind of shaped like a Y. You have counterbalance, you've got true balance, and all sitting on one. I hope you can see that okay.
That glued?
Yes, clearly.
And now I will kill it again and I'll go to the side and I'll be right back.
Hey, Tom,
Oh, I'm sorry, Silda, I muted you. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask Tom if that last one was glued.
These ones are just
Tom,
landscape pieces. Yeah.
was the last one you showed, were they, did you use adhesive on any of those, or are they just about?
Yeah. On the Eagle, you have to use E6000 on that, and some of the other pieces. I experimented in the beginning with different glues, and I didn't like, when you, with the E6000, when you mess up, it's very forgiving. And when it's caked and you need to take it off, it comes right off. So that's why I like E6000. And now I'll kill it again, guys, and I'll move over to some more.
Your Wi-Fi is holding up nicely outside. That's great.
Yeah, so far so good. These pieces, I like to work with natural wood, as you can see, the stumps and the stone on top. It kind of like sets them off. And I won't go through every piece here because it would take an awful long time. But as you can see, some are counterbalanced and some are, there's 1, 2, 3 counters and 2 or 3 are straight up. And then this piece up here was actually leftover masonry that I didn't want to throw away. And I was sipping a glass of wine at the time and I got very creative. Okay, guys, I will kill this one and I'll take you inside.
Some of the pieces that Tom has at the center they're just, what he did was, and I should have put some of the pictures up of those. So they're very small, but he's also got almost like a glossy sealant or coating on them. So it's very beautiful. Like he's using black rocks or black and gray. So you can do so many interesting things with it. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Judy. What I like to use as well is to give them the wet look when I'm done, or even before I get finished with a piece. A varathane will give it the wet look, and that really helps in the appearance as well. So these two pieces are, one is on a stump, one is on a flat piece, and they're very, I'm sorry for being so shaky. They're on the back porch, as you can see. And now I'll just walk around to another area and I'll show you some more.
What did Tom say he put on those to give them the wet look?
It's varathane, and I'm looking at the
varathane.
correct spelling here. Yeah, so it's a varathane, V-A-R, oh, not E. Okay, I'm putting it in here right now.
Yeah, it's mostly used on wood to give it a real finish,
Yeah.
nice finish. So you can actually get it at Home Depot or wherever, and a disposable brush, and just brush it on. This piece here, guys, there's 3 pieces of wood have been following me around forever. And I liked the way they had curves and different angles on them. And I thought I would enhance those 3 pieces, and I did something stone, sand, and some leaves. And when I put the leaves on, originally, I used linseed oil, and it preserved them, and then they kind of dried out. But they're still there, they're still hanging on. If I can just zoom around here, Judy, if it's okay, I won't shake too much.
No, that's fine.
But these pieces are stumps I had lying around, and those curlicues I got at a garage sale, and I didn't know what to do with them at the time, but now they're serving a function. And then this piece down here was part of, has anybody ever heard of Meow Wolf?
Yes, yeah.
I qualified for Meow Wolf. I got into the short list with my proposal, which was pieces like this, but you also had the wildlife of Colorado, which was, either the eagle, the bears, the pronghorn, bighorn sheep, black bear, whatever it is that we have in Colorado. That was my proposal, to do it all in flagstone as you would enter into the building. Well, as we all know, it never went anywhere. But I got on the short list. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, you've got to know this. Let me copy this. Also putting this in the chat. Meow Wolf is coming to Denver. And
yeah,
just put it in the chat, and I'll let you, I'll send it in the follow-up email to everybody. But yeah, it's going to be a really cool art exhibit that's permanent here. So anyway, you'll have to check that out on your own. Go ahead, Tom.
I'll zoom around here, guys. Don't mind this is a work in progress, so don't worry about that. Anybody up for barbecue? I've got that piece up there. I just finished the lower part, and I put those 2 pieces up top. Can you see them okay?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I got to brag about.
That is so great. So,
Thank you.
See, the creativity can be extraordinary, right? Because then Tom has also used other natural elements along with the stone. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to put it back on gallery view here so I can see everybody. And does anybody have any comments or questions? Whoa, you okay, Tom?
They all fell over.
Yeah,
You didn't.
I'm just
You
coming
didn't
back
just
in.
knock over one of those.
The screen door hit me in the butt.
Tom, this is Jermaine. What precipitated your interest? Why did you decide to do this? And how long have you been doing it?
I'm sorry. You mean the stone balancing?
Uh-huh. What?
Yeah,
What
I'm a
was,
former stonemason, and when I
how long have you
retired,
been doing it?
I was a stonemason for over 20 years. And then when I
Okay.
retired, I was one of those people who was very restless, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I'm out in the backyard one day, and I thought I'll balance some rocks. I was bored, so I balanced a couple of rocks, and I thought to myself, I wonder if anybody else wants to do this. So here I am doing it over and over. And I
They're
love it.
gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Tom has taught
Absolutely.
this not only at the center, but at the libraries and things like that. So there's been a number of classes, and so he'll do classes for people. And it was really something to see. And let's see, we're right at time here, so I won't show you the pictures. I'll just send you the link so you can look at them to get ideas. So I'll send the pictures from the center so you can see what participants did there. And also I'll include the full list of what you'll need, all of that. So we'll have a nice, you'll have the complete information if you are interested in participating on July 6th as well. And Tom, I can't thank you enough for this. This is a great.
No, I can't thank you. You're so good. Thank you so much.
Yay. So we really are happy to have this information, to know about it. It's just something so wonderful. And you'll really, I think everybody who decides to participate will really enjoy it, and provided that you protect your devices and don't break anything.
It's for people who are not sure about it, I say just give it a shot, and come back to me and tell me you don't like it. It is very it's soothing, it's calming, it's challenging, all of those things combined, and you will have fun with it, and you'll find out stuff about yourself as regards one of the four things I often talk about are your focus, the sense of touch, your patience, of course, and the way you become in tune with where gravity can take you. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, very. Yeah, and you can choose to, take it down and make something different over and over again. We have some loose stones at the center that we leave out for people to play with. So it's kind of nice in that regard. And then it's also nice if you create something that you want to make and have as a permanent sculpture. So you can use it as, like Tom is it's so beautiful all around your home.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That is great. It's like a whole Zen garden out there. So
thanks everybody
so much. Anybody else have any comments or questions? I think we're good. Okay, so we will supply you with all the information, and have a great day. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for all your kind words.
Have a good day, everybody.